the story was, it was just so meticulously crafted.
Oh, completely.
You had the pop culture ideal, right? The international music icon and the star NFL champion.
And their whole romance played out on this global stage.
Yeah, with the matching outfits, the private jets, and this golden, effortless perfection.
A perfection that seemed, I don't know, like it was totally unburdened by the friction of real life.
Right. It was, frankly, a manufactured ideal.
A fairy tale. It was
Yes.
designed to exist above the fray, which, just creates this massive tension for anyone watching.
And that tension just peaked. It peaked when Travis Kelce went on his own New Heights podcast and made this definitive statement.
A big one.
Over 2.5 years with Taylor Swift, he said they had, quote, never once had an argument.
Which is, that's the ultimate celebrity declaration of relationship superiority, right?
It is. And that claim was the catalyst. It was a narrative just waiting to be challenged by the inconvenient truth of everyday life.
If the Kelce-Swift thing is this untouchable glamour, someone had to represent the rest of us.
The people who, occasionally bicker over whose turn it is to do the dishes.
Exactly. And who better to deliver that dose of realism?
Enter the only person with the family access and, I think, the public capital to do it, his sister-in-law, Kylie Kelce.
And she took that headline, Kylie exposes Kelce-Swift's no fights, and just cemented her role as the anchor of the whole Kelce media universe.
Welcome to StarScope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we deep dive into the stories behind the fame.
And our mission today is to dive deep into this duality. We're looking at Kylie's own podcast, Not Gonna Lie, fan reports, and the media storm around it.
We're trying to understand the difference between, the pop culture narrative and the actual family reality.
We want to unpack the media strategy for you, the psychology of perfect relationships, and why Kylie's insistence on being real is maybe the most powerful brand of all.
So let's start with the myth itself.
It all goes back to that December 3rd episode of New Heights.
Right, with George Clooney.
Exactly. Travis and Jason are interviewing George Clooney, who had already claimed that he and his wife, Amal, never argue.
Which is already an incredibly high bar to set.
For anyone, let alone Hollywood royalty. And Clooney, leaning into it, he turns that question right back on Travis.
Who basically asks him to confirm if the golden relationship was just as flawless.
And Travis delivered. He stated, in no uncertain terms, that he and Taylor had not argued once.
The reaction was immediate. It was this mix of, admiration, but also just instant skepticism.
Of course, because we all want people to be happy, but we also know that a real connection often needs some productive friction.
Right. And you even had outlets like Psychology Today weighing in, saying that, constructive arguments are actually vital for a healthy relationship long term.
A disagreement handled well is a form of deep communication.
It lets you vent, it lets you set boundaries, and you grow together.
So it raises that fundamental question, right? If you never argue, are you avoiding all conflict? Or are you just avoiding the hard conversations that actually build intimacy?
And that tension, it just couldn't last. The crack arrived 8 days later.
And it was delivered with Kylie's signature bluntness.
This is the reality check.
So on the December 11th episode of her podcast, Not Gonna Lie, she responds directly to her brother-in-law's claim.
And her reaction wasn't anger, which I think is key. It was just pure, relatable confusion.
She literally asked the question every single one of us was thinking.
She said, you're telling me you don't bicker or argue. Or maybe you do bicker, but you don't argue. I'm very confused about this.
And that nuance is so critical, the distinction between bickering and arguing.
Yeah, bickering is low-stakes stuff. Who left the lights on? What movie to watch?
Just logistical exhaustion. But arguing, that's a high-stakes emotional confrontation.
Core values, deep-seated stuff. Her confusion basically suggested that even if they aren't having screaming matches, the total absence of any disagreement just seems. Yeah. And the most telling part, she used her own husband, Jason, as proof of her reality.
She joked that Jason was oddly quiet during this segment on his own podcast.
Because after almost 8 years of marriage and 4 small children, he knew that he could not say that.
That is the sound of a man who knows, claiming no fights, would immediately start a fight with his wife.
Totally. And she clarified her own situation, saying we absolutely argue. She stressed she's not a yelling arguer, but she confirmed arguments are just a necessary part of navigating life.
Especially with 4 young daughters. I mean, Wyatt, Elliot, Bennett, and Finn.
A 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and an 8-month-old. Her comments just resonated instantly.
That's why outlets like Good Morning America and people picked it up so fast.
She gave everyone this, cultural permission slip. It's okay. The messiness of real marriage, especially with kids, is normal.
So was this just a witty, honest response, or was it also, a strategic branding move?
I think it's both. Travis and Taylor have this pedestal of celebrity perfection.
Right. And Kylie and Jason, by always confirming how normal they are, they become the relatable, down-to-earth anchor.
It's a perfect media balance for the whole family. Her brand is being that unfiltered voice.
The one who reminds us they're dealing with the same bedtime battles we are.
Exactly. But wait a minute. Days after Kylie delivered this grounded reality check, the focus shifted entirely when the two women were seen together, proving that family bonds are thicker than podcast commentary.
You won't believe the photos that broke the internet next.
So just days after that reality check, the whole conversation pivots because of one single viral moment at Arrowhead Stadium.
This was the Chiefs versus the Chargers game, Sunday, December 14th.
And Taylor Swift was there, one day after her 36th birthday.
But the setting was everything. She's in the VIP suite, not just with Donna Kelce,
but specifically with Kylie Kelce and Taylor's own mom, Andrea Swift.
It was like a multi-generational summit. It was designed, whether consciously or not, to just scream family integration.
And what blew up on social media wasn't the game. It was the intimate family moments.
Fan footage, photos everywhere, but everyone focused on one thing. Taylor Swift holding one of Kylie and Jason's little girls.
They think it was either Elliot or Bennett, and Kylie was holding baby Finn.
That image just went nuclear online.
It wasn't just a celebrity appearance. It felt like a real embrace. She looked comfortable. She was laughing. She was interacting with the kids in this noisy, very non-glamorous setting.
And here's the key analysis, I think. That single image completely neutralized the no-fight controversy.
Oh.
You might question Travis's claim, but it's much harder to question the authenticity of a megastar looking completely relaxed while holding a toddler in a crowded box.
It's the ultimate PR pivot without ever having to issue a PR statement. The picture does all the work.
The narrative just flips. It goes from, are they fighting, to, look how seamlessly Taylor has blended into this family.
Yep. She was immediately branded as having slid comfortably into ant mode.
The contrast is just profound, right? The person who just called out the no-fight claim is sitting right next to the person in the claim.
In an atmosphere that is definitively Kelce-grounded, a little chaotic, football-centric.
The picture just confirms that the family bond is so much thicker than a little podcast disagreement.
It gives the whole story depth.
Yeah.
It takes this glamorous narrative and drops it into a relatable parental setting. You see the pop star, but you also see someone who seems okay with getting baby drool on her $1,000 sweater.
That's the humanizing element. That's what makes their whole relationship feel more palatable to the public.
The photos look perfect, but what were the girls actually saying during the game? Later in the deep dive, we reveal the absolute hilarious truth from Kylie herself about how her daughters really felt about watching Uncle Trav play.
Plus, could this friendship lead to the biggest podcast crossover of the year? We'll connect those dots right after this.
Okay, so we've established Kylie as the family realist.
But now we get the kid perspective, which is, it's the ultimate reality check for any celebrity ever.
On the December 18th episode of Not Gonna Lie, Kylie shared the truth about the Arrowhead appearance.
And she admitted the whole thing was way more significant to the adults than to the kids.
She explained that the adults thought it was a big deal because the girls had not yet seen Uncle Trav play in Arrowhead Stadium.
It was a milestone for the family story, but probably not for the attention spans of a 6- and 4-year-old.
Her confession was just golden. She said the girls are not that interested in football, to be quite honest with you.
And then came the parental truth bomb. Her daughters actually yell at us anytime we try to put football on the TV.
I love that. They're part of the most famous football family in America, and their default setting is, can you please turn this off?
She said the only reason they got excited was when they realized that at the stadium.
They can freely yell.
Exactly. The magic wasn't their uncle scoring touchdowns. It was realizing they were in a place where no one would tell them to be quiet.
That is the perfect distillation of the parent-child experience. It reframes the whole thing from a sweet family moment to just a very, very loud playdate.
And don't forget the youngest, 8-month-old Finn, who Kylie called the real one.
Yes. She said Finn slept for an hour and a half there through all the screaming and cheering.
Which is the final proof, right? No amount of celebrity or media attention can mess with a baby's nap schedule.
It perfectly brings that whole stadium story back down to earth.
But let's shift our analysis a bit, because all this family synergy is pointing toward a huge media opportunity.
Kylie's Not Gonna Lie podcast. It just had its one-year anniversary, and crucially, it's produced by the same team that runs New Heights.
That internal network is key. The logistics are already in place for a major crossover.
And the speculation online is all about whether Taylor Swift might show up as a guest.
Now, most fans are waiting for her to appear on New Heights, which would be, massive.
Of course.
But imagine the strategic power if Taylor Swift chose to make her first Kelce family podcast appearance on Not Gonna Lie instead.
Oh, that would be a huge media moment. A really significant choice.
It would instantly legitimize Kylie's show to Swift's entire global audience.
And it would confirm Kylie's status, not just as the family anchor, but as a media personality in her own right.
And that, I think, is the final takeaway here. Kylie Kelce consistently acts as this grounding element in a glamorous, often unreal celebrity story.
She's the voice of honesty, whether she's talking about marriage arguments or just confirming that her kids would rather yell than watch football.
Her brand is authenticity. In a world of perfect, managed images, her voice just feels like a relief, a confirmation that you can be connected to the biggest story in the world and still be dealing with the same domestic chaos as everyone else.
So we have to ask you, the listener, in a pop culture world obsessed with flawless romance, is Kylie Kelce's insistence on delivering the unfiltered, practical truth the most refreshing narrative right now?
Or is being the family realist simply the only way to survive being part of the most famous family in America? It's a question of strategy versus survival.
Either way, she has successfully carved out this essential, influential space for herself.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.